Hi guys, my name is God's Desire and you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, then I'm saying welcome. Please do well to click on the subscribe button below to join the family, and make sure you click on the notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload the content on this channel. So before I get right into the video, I have to state some things. So there's a change in location, like where I stay. So just in case you hear pound 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 ping like traffic sounds, just in case you hear things like that, where I'm staying now is very near to the road and there is always traffic, right? Yes, but I'll be intentional about it, so I'll try and fix my filming time to when the sounds and the noises have reduced. This is not to say that my other videos are always free from background noises though. Yeah, but at least I need to be cautious enough to like state it here, so in case you're hearing things like that. But I'll try and speak loud so you hear my own voice over the car horns and traffic sounds. Yeah. All right, so in today's video we're going to be talking about human standards and God's standards, or rather maybe I should put it as traditions and God's standard, right? Yes. And I'll be centering on modesty, like modest dressing. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Like, that's what I'm going to be centering on. Probably I'll make this topic a series. So like today I'm going to just speak out one thing, one societal something and maybe next video I'm going to talk about something else, so the videos will not be too long and it will be enjoyable while it's short and still be impactful as well. Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about modest dressing. What do humans see about it? What do our society, what has tradition taught us about modest dressing, and what is God's standards about modest dressing? While a lot of us were growing up, what were the things that were instilled in us while the message of modesty is being passed? That I would call like human standards and tradition, that especially if the way it was explained to us is not in the biblical way, what God wants and all. Because most times while we were growing up, I would take it as the female. While we as females were growing up, you would always hear our parents, our mothers especially, when they'll say things like you have to dress decently, you have to dress modestly, because you won't want to tempt men outside. Okay, I'm not saying this to defend the fact that okay, they are not right in some aspects, that okay, you should be modest enough, you should inculcate moral dressings, you should embrace modesty, so you wouldn't it's always funny to me though, like that particular reason, so you wouldn't tempt men. Is that your standards, or like you are doing it in accordance and in obedience to what God's standard says about modesty? I mean, okay, let me clear the air before I start sounding like a feminist, right? No, like I said, it is God's standards that I'm talking about. So leave traditions aside, leave feminism aside. Yeah, I'm not trying to talk like a feminist or be a feminist here, but it pisses me off really when, yes, it is the right thing. It like, okay, we are still aimed at the right thing, but like what you instill into the children, into people that are growing in Christ is quite different. Like, so the reason why I grew up with this mentality that the reason why I need to cover myself, the reason why I need to cover my nakedness, the reason why I need to be modest enough in my dressing is so that I don't tempt a man. That's quite nonsensical to me. So that I don't have to tempt a man. I mean, who says, like in whose standards says that it's only a woman that should be modest enough? Or sorry, do you think that there are some parts in men too that they expose and it doesn't reach to some women or women generally. That's okay. You feel like there are some parts that they expose and you feel, oh, there's nothing in their body and shade, they're flat and all that. Do you think that some parts in their bodies that don't actually get to women? So our tradition has made it like a bit sidelined that it has to be the female you have to cover up because you are the one that has um no, I don't want to say complicated structure, but like you are the one that have this edges, curves, like strategic places. It's not my fault that the Lord decided to create me in a way different from men, but it still does not pull down the standards that men as well should also watch what they do, how they dress as well, because it gets to women. We are both created to be attracted to each other. Yes, that's the initial plan of the author of our bodies. So you can't tell me that it's only a man that can be attracted to a woman and so a woman has to cover up. It is the tradition of okay, women should cover up so they don't tempt men and all that. No, that reason is archaic and that is what I want to change. But the fact that okay, we should cover ourselves, we should cover our bodies, we should dress modestly, that is still the standards. But the standards of God now is not so you don't tempt men. Literally, when we think about it, don't tempt men is also like part of it, because if you expose yourself and all, some men can be tempted and blah blah blah. But first thing, like the reason why you are doing it is because you respect your body as the temple of the Lord. You respect it as the temple of the Lord. It is the temple of the Lord. You carry yourself that God lives in me. It is the temple of the Lord, and not everybody should just see it or walk through it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so in God's standards it's supposed to be to the glory of God. That is why you do your covering, to the glory of God, because you respect your body as the temple of the Lord, and not because I don't want one man to fall for me. You know, the ironical thing of all this is that even when men exposes some parts of their bodies and all, even if it gets to women, people wouldn't think that a man's body, some parts of a man's body should get to women. And so that is why everything is just hammered. Cover your body so you don't tempt a man. Really, no. Let us understand, like, let us erase that aspect and move to God's standards, which is to the glorification of God and to glorify Him and to respect your body. That is the temple of the Lord, and so you cannot just mess with it anyhow. You cannot just expose it anyhow. That is the only reason that is recognized, and that is God's standards. Yes. So if you are telling me that I should cover up myself and I should dress modestly and decently rather, so I don't tempt a man and all, I feel if we want to work according to God's standards now, we should change it all together. Change the mentality of the ladies that we are bringing up and change the mentality of the men as well. Tell the women modesty is key. Modesty is important. It is important that you cover up your nakedness to the glory of God. You respect your body because it is the temple of God. That is God's standards, and that is the reason. And then as for men, don't fall under the guise that okay, women have to cover up so they don't tempt us. That alone is changing the mentality in them, because they see themselves as weak to the structure of the woman's body or to the exposure of the woman's body. So it changes their mentality, like they are weak to it, like that is their weak point. But when we also change the way they think, that okay, we make the women know that this is God's standards and you are doing it to the glory of God, and you make the men know that a woman who exposes her body and all shouldn't be what gets to you. You have to tame your mind, because once immorality is even at the thought level, like you are thinking about it alone, is already a sin. It is already a sin. Okay, do you know that a woman can be well covered, a woman can dress modestly, and a man will still unwrap her with his eyes and with his mind? So what are you talking about? If somebody who is well covered, like, okay, your thoughts, how would this woman even be? In your head, picturing you're already picturing some kind of things, like, okay, if the woman is off that covering, off that clothes, you're already picturing it. You've already unwrapped that woman in your head and with your eyes. For someone who covers her body, and then a man can actually still unwrap her with his mind and with his eyes. So why then are we saying, why then should you put the condition for dressing modestly as not tempting a man? A man who wants to be tempted is going to be tempted, right? Yes. So I would rather we change the standards of things, we change what we instill in our children growing up. We instill in them, teenagers to children growing up, even in youths and adults as well, because I would say we grew up with that mentality, right? Let us let the women know that cover yourself, be modest, be moral in your dressing, be moral enough in your dressing to glorify your creator, to glorify God, and to honor your body as the temple of the Lord. And for the men, train your mind, train your hearts, like, train yourself. Always be disciplined. Get that discipline, because even with a woman who covers herself, you can still unwrap her. You can get her nude with your eyes and with your mind. So the key word there is for the men to be disciplined. It is, don't you think that it's actually because of this reason that we have given it that you have to dress modestly so you don't tempt the men? That is why most rapists out there, they have the excuse of, it's because she was not covering her body that okay, she tempted me and I had to rape her. There is never an excuse for rape. But with this thought, with this thing, with this tradition that we've laid down, it has passed easy access for excuse, as it has passed it as an access for excuse for rapists. It is because she was not covering herself, so she tempted me. But if we change the standards of things, that okay, ladies, cover yourself to the glory of God. You are doing it to the glory of God. You honor Him, who is more important than men, right? Men, like when I say men, generally, like human beings, right? Yes. And then for the men, discipline yourself, train your mind, train your heart, train your eyes. Like, just be disciplined. Let the word of discipline go to the men, and then for the women, let modesty go there, and everything, I feel, will be balanced. That is God's standard for moral dressing, for decency. God's standard is for Him. It's for us to honor Him with our body, and not for the sake of men, right? Yeah. And then for the men, let us teach the men discipline. It's a two-way thing. Let us not lay it down on the women alone, that you have to dress decently, you have to do this. The pressure will get too much, right? The pressure will get too much. Not that I'm erasing this. I will never erase modesty. I am an advocate for modesty, for modest dressing. But we should erase the wrong reasons why we should do that, and embrace the fact that it is to the glory of our God, our Creator, our Maker. That is the right reasons. That is God's standards. And let us instill in our men, in our boys, the act of discipline. As much as we are pressuring the ladies and we are telling them that, okay, this is the right thing to do, let us also instill it in the men that, yes, you have to be disciplined. You have to train your heart and train your mind. It is a two-way thing. Let's not lay it down on one gender alone, right? Yes, let's together do it and work in God's standards, right? God's standards against the standards of men and some kind of tradition that we'll be moving with. Let us check it in God's standards and the standards of God, and let us do it God's way, right? Yes. So with this, I've come to the end of this video. The key words for this video is modesty, decent dressing, the right reasons for it, and then for the men, discipline. And I pray that okay, we'll be able to pass this, do everything in God's way, do everything in God's standards, and please God, and everything will be to the glory of God. And I hope it makes a change when we have our women, our ladies dressing decently, modestly, and promoting modesty and morality, and we have the men being very much disciplined. I feel like the world is going to be a better place like that. Let us do it the two way, like the both genders are actually intentional about it. It's not that is limping on one gender and leaving the other gender aside, and not that we are doing it for the wrong reasons, but rather for the right reasons and doing it God's way and God's standards. I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.